Alright, so this is the latest project. This is a slightly modified RC4 drive Beast 2. It was a kit truck. I have the original box and body that came with it, but it was never finished by the previous owner, and then I bought it. I was gonna make it into some sort of off-road semi-type truck, triple axle, but I've driven it around and there's a lot of slop in the driveline because we're now working with 1, 2, 3, 4 different drive shafts. And with the 2-speed transmission, it is kind of sloppy. I didn't really enjoy driving it. So I think I'll take this extension out, which should shrink it from about, what is it now? 35 inches down to 27 inches, roughly, I'm hoping. That should make it a lot more usable because this thing was just way too big to take down most trails that the other trucks went down. And yeah, I think I've set my sights on making it a leaf spring truck now too, which front's not going to be hard. I'll just have to make some hangers and whatnot, but the rear, if I were to use like a kit from RC4 Drive for say a Jalan 2, for example, I'd have to space these axles out in order to fit 2 sets of leaves, 2 leaf packs, right? But I don't want to do that. I want to keep these in their stock locations. And the way it's set out now, I wouldn't really have to do much as far as custom parts to make my own kind of military style leaf pack like you'd see on a deuce and a half. I just have to make a bracket, kind of comes down into the middle here, shorten that up, get this link on this side going to the kind of transmission plate, or I guess it's the transfer case plate, the skid plate, and then I would just build a leaf pack to go from there to there, military style, and hopefully that would work. It should give me a decent amount of flex, at least similar to what I have now, which don't want it to be too sloppy. It'll be a heavier truck. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I have to start by shrinking this thing back down to its original size, so I'll have to take this out and then make another smaller bracket and bolt these 2 pieces right up, butted against each other. Yeah. I'm gonna keep it though, because this is definitely a unique piece. These are, as I'm told, these are Tamiya carrier bearings and Tamiya drive shafts, or RC4 drive shafts. I can't remember, but I'll keep it to either use in the future on this or another truck, or maybe to sell like really cheap to someone who just wants it. But yeah, step 1, take that out. Step 2, start designing leaf hangers, mounts, brackets. Give that a go. Alright, so I've gone ahead and done a couple things. The first thing I did was I took out this center section that was added. Shrunk the truck back to its original length. Just drilled some more holes there, lined everything up. It should be rigid enough. We'll see if it moves around. Maybe the holes aren't the perfect size for the screws, but seems good as is right now. And then I figured out the links for now. So these links should actually connect to some brackets like they do back here. Those are the stock brackets, but one of mine was broken up there. So I flipped this one, and I just kind of have the links going to some longer screws. And it seems to work well, getting good articulation, and it doesn't feel like anything's binding. So that's all good. There's some weird spacing and extensions done to these links here, so I took that out. I did have to extend these a little bit. I just added 2 little nuts in there. Make it all fit. The axles are back to their stock positions. The guy somehow had extended the distance between these 2 rear axles by spacing the links and adding a longer drive shaft. And the axle was kind of like half an inch further forward, so you could fit 2 2s. I didn't even notice it when I bought the truck, and to his credit, it did work really well. I never had any issues the 2 or 3 times I ran this truck, but I just wanted everything to kind of go back to a stock position so I could run some smaller tires and all the angles would be right. I did have to shave this drive shaft down, just had to cut both pieces so it would fit. It's an aftermarket drive shaft and was too long, but works well now. Shouldn't have any issues with it popping out the way it is. Any issues with binding as well. So yeah, it's essentially back to square one. It's back to ground zero, where the truck should have been stock. And now it's time for me to start making some brackets to do leaf springs back here. The plan is going to be to kind of take this bracket out. I don't know if I'm going to need to keep these linkages up top. I might just have to use these with the leaf springs. In that case, then these linkages will get taken out. I'll have a bracket come down here, and I'll do a military style leaf pack connecting these two. So we'll see what I decide there and what's kind of the most durable, reliable, most flexible. And then I'll just run some normal shocks back here without springs. Stock locations. For the front, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, if I'm going to leave it linked or if I'm going to add some leaf springs, but we'll see. It would be cool to have it all leaf springed, kind of like a TF2. To make the springs, I've ordered some, I believe they call it a return spring or return coil for like any small engine. So that steel is nice and springy. It is a spring, so I can just cut it up and make some custom leaves out of it. Shouldn't take too much time. It'll be here by the end of the week, and then I can make another video on this. So yeah. I think the next video after this one is probably going to be making the sliders and rear bumper for that truck, the TF2 I've got over there. I'm halfway through cutting out the material I need. I'm just using 3/16 steel brake line. And then I just got to braze it all together and weld up pieces that I need to, make some tabs, figure out a good way to mount it to the truck where it's solid. But yeah, I'm really enjoying working on the TF2, and I'm really enjoying the leaf springs, so I think that's probably the main reason why I want to try leafs on this thing. Number one, I want a challenge, I want to build something different, and I like leaf springs. I like the way they drive, so yeah, hopefully that all goes well. I will see you guys when I post a video, probably later this week or next week. So, take care.